Hey you guys. Okay, this is so official. I'm recording and everything. I love it. Welcome to our Fam Jam Empire team call, September 9th. We're going to talk about inviting today. And you guys, I'm pretty pumped because this is like the first time that we're actually starting consistent team calls. So I'm just going to have like a perma smile on my face all night because this is pretty exciting. But first, before we start, we're going to start every call with recognition. I will open the floor to anyone if they have recognition, and this is for like anything to do with your team. So if you want to recognize a coach of yours for doing something cool, if you want to recognize any challengers, you want to recognize anybody else on the team, I will open it up. I know there's just a small few of us, but if anyone has anything, just unmute yourself. I have a couple if no one does.
I have one. I don't know if she'll ever watch this call, but in case she ever gets to this call, it's very likely that one of my coaches, Christina, is going to be Emerald likely this week because she just signed another discount coach, and she has her husband on, but she was waiting to get another coach to put him back active. So all she has to do is order a product and he'll be active and she'll be Emerald. So if she ever watches this, woo!
Good job, Christina. That's awesome. I love it. I have two. I've announced them already, but officially on this call, I just want to say a huge shout out to Trish for hitting emeralds. This is a huge deal. And honestly, like Trish hit this in 24 hours, you guys. Like she decided that it was going to happen. And she's like, why didn't I do this like weeks ago? I don't know. But she finally got the confidence. I feel like she got her confidence after a couple weeks of just running the business, right? And that it takes time, and it takes time to really build that confidence up. But she went for it and she crushed it, and I'm super proud of you. So huge congrats to you. And huge shout out to Drew and Shaw. You guys went emeralds. So proud of you guys. You guys are like just running. Like Shaw, it was like, I'm only here to share my journey. I am not running this business. And in that though, you guys, we're going to kind of talk about that tonight. She's attracted so many people already because that's how she's showing up. And she's just being super authentic about it on social. Both of you, your videos are freaking hilarious. And I think everyone's really loving it. So huge congrats to you guys. Anyone else before we get started? Okay, I'm going to try and keep this to like 8:30. I want us to have time in between like this call and the next call. And by the way, the next call is with Jamie and Kim. They will all be recorded and posted in the team pages either tonight or tomorrow, depending on when I get the links for them. Okay? So I'm going to share my screen. I just want to talk to you guys tonight about inviting and how to kind of invite without selling. I feel like this has kind of been the topic of conversation over the past little while, of people really feeling like, how do I invite? How do I get into a conversation? How do I attract clients? Like there just seems to be a lot of confusion about it. So I just wanted to kind of dive into that. But like I said, if you guys have questions as I go through, like don't feel like this is just a one-sided conversation. If you want to jump in, just unmute yourself and we'll go through the questions as I'm kind of sharing some of the slides with you guys, okay? So I'm just going to share my screen. Can you see this? No, you can just see everything but the slideshow that I want to show you. I did a lot of really cool training today, just so you guys know. It's coming. All right. I think we can put this in presentation mode. I love Canva, by the way. If you guys don't use Canva, use Canva. Here we go. Can you guys see that okay? Yeah, perfect. And my computer sounds like it's going to take off for some reason. All right, so how to invite without selling. I think the biggest thing is how to attract clients, how to connect with them, and then how to actually invite them. And that is kind of the process that we're going to talk about. The biggest thing, and I loved this quote, the toughest thing about the power of trust is that it's very difficult to build and it's very easy to destroy. I think that is one of the biggest things, is understanding that we need to build trust with our audience before they decide that they will take our offer with the invite, with whatever invite we lead with. They have to trust us before they even get to the point where they decide that they can give us a yes. And in order for them to trust us, they have to know who we are. And once they know who we are, they have to actually like who we are. And I know that that can be a hard thing, and that can be a hard pill to swallow, knowing that you want to really attract or repel people. But just know that when you're building trust, that honestly, trust is everything. The ways that you can do it is just consistently being proof that the products actually work. So showing up every single day consistently with that. And then really talking to people about why you're so similar. So getting into their head and talking to them about, okay, why are they like you? And if you can create that similarity and you can create that parallel where they start to see themselves in you, that's really where you start to build a lot of the trust with your audience. So you have to know who you are if you want other people to know who you are. And if you're going to define who you are, this is a really good exercise. I will say screenshot this if you can screenshot this, but I will send this out as well. But you can, this is kind of an exercise that you can ask yourself different types of questions about what makes you you. And oftentimes I feel like we don't really know a lot of this stuff, or we're too afraid to share it, or we feel like none of this matters. All of this matters. Every little thing about you matters. And oftentimes I think that we don't feel like we have a big enough story to share, or we don't feel like we're exciting enough, which we're all excited. Like, people just want to know what you're doing, as exciting as you may think it is or not. Just roll with it. So if you go through a lot of these questions, this can be a really great exercise for you. You can go through these, and this literally becomes a lot of your posts and how you start talking to people and how you start showing up and deciding what you actually want to share on social and what you don't. Because some of this you might not actually want to share a whole lot of, which is totally cool. But you do have to share something. So dive into this, and this is a really great exercise. If you feel like you don't know who you are, you don't really have a brand that you're representing yet on social media, this would be a really great exercise that you could dive into to do that. And this is really going to start attracting a lot of those people that have been sitting and watching, and they're kind of on the fence about, like, maybe this is for me, maybe it's not, I'm not really sure. This is really going to help you to really attract those people. So talking about that, being a client magnet. So again, people have to know who you are, so start sharing who you are, but you have to know what their pain points are. So you have to relate to their pain point. What are they struggling with? How can you solve it? And how are they going to feel once you solve that problem? And if you can speak to this in a post every time you post, I guarantee you will start to see more engagement on a lot of, whether it's engagement in terms of likes, engagement in terms of comments, or even just DMs. I get a lot of DMs from people because they get uncomfortable sometimes with the topics we're speaking on to actually comment in a public forum. But I will get a message being like, hey, oh my gosh, your post today like really spoke to me. And if you hit these 4 points when you're talking in a post, oftentimes you'll find that you just connect with people on a deeper level. So know what their pain points are. How are you going to know what those pain points are? They're all of your pain points. So why did you start this journey? What made you decide that you wanted to work out every day? What made you decide that you need to start eating healthier? What made you decide that this tribe was the one for you? What made you decide to come to either me or another coach that is in this group to be your coach? You know, what were those things? And all of that is what's going to relate to your client. And as we kind of come through our journey and as things change, I feel like sometimes we really forget about what all those things were. I mean, it's easy to forget how you felt in that moment, but write it down and keep a journal. It's so easy at the end of the night. Just keep a journal. You can write down a few points. You know, we all go through mind drama every single day. So write down what you're thinking. And those thoughts are what is going to help somebody else really be attracted to who you are and sharing all of that. Again, I'll share this, but you can screenshot it. Are you attractive? This is Michael Nyman. This is exactly what happened at Summit, not last year, but the year before. These are the types of things that you're going to see on stage. And I don't mean attractive in the sense of being pretty or being typical. are you attractive to your actual clientele, to your audience? Is your vibe one that attracts and repels? Because you want to do both, honestly. You want to attract the people who are like you, and you want to repel the people who are like, no, I don't, she's not my vibe. She's not my thing. That couple, I don't want to be like that couple. Or I freaking love what they do. I want to be them. So they either have to see themselves in you or not at all. So make sure that you're showing up sincerely. Make sure you're not being phony. You're not trying to be somebody else. If you're grabbing inspiration from another Beachbody coach post, that's totally cool. But copying and pasting it word for word, most people are going to kind of see right through it. So try and be you as much as you possibly can, and try and just share. I spoke to it earlier. Shaw was saying, I don't want to run fast. I don't want to do this fast. All she did was started showing up on social and started sharing. And so many people were attracted to it. She actually messaged me and was like, I don't even know what to, like, there's so many people who are like asking me what's going on, but it's because you're just showing up as you. And I think that is really the key, is just finding like your groove, right? So are you attracting the right people by showing up as who you actually are? Next is stopping them with your image. I know that we spend, and I will say we, because I'm pretty sure all of us have done this, we spend hours trying to craft a post. Or you go back and you write it and you edit it, and then you go back again and you just can't figure it out. But what you're actually writing doesn't even matter if the image isn't there to stop them. So we really want to stop them with their scroll, with the image, and then connect with them in the post. So with your image, a few things is always make sure that you're facing light, so that the light is shining on your face and you don't have windows behind you or the sun behind you, or like I have right now, like don't ever take a picture with that light shining right behind you. It'll just blow everything out. So make sure that you're not over editing your posts, but that you have like a consistent look. So you can use a preset. I use presets. They work really well. Or you can use a couple filters through Instagram. They're pretty good on the filters on Instagram. Use that though. I would make sure that if you don't have a steady hand, use like a tripod, or prop your phone up and set the timer to take a picture. That's always a really good idea to do as well. But just make sure that you pay attention to what your picture is showing. If it's grainy, if it's dark, people aren't going to stop to read what you've spent so much time in crafting this post. So just make sure that you're paying attention to your images. I did a lot of social media audits as well. So if any of you are feeling like you want me to do that again after you've done some of your edits, then Shah, yes. Then let me know, because I'll let you know kind of on the picture side of things once you are going through, okay, what do the pictures look like? Do we see a consistent theme? Because this is what's really going to start to build your brand. And this is what's really going to start to connect with people. They're actually going to start to see your pictures and know it's you before they even actually see your face. So again, stopping them with your image. This one for me is really just making sure that when you're connecting in your post, after you get the image, it's something right out of the gate that they want to read more, because they can't see everything that you've written. They only see 150 characters in that first line. So once you've stopped them with the picture, what then are you going to attract them with? So a lot of the times I'm seeing at the bottom of the post, you'll have a call to action like, hey, if you want to join me, or what's your favorite movie or whatever. Try switching that. Sometimes putting that in the very first line of whatever the comment, whatever your question is, and it helps with engagement to get people to comment a little bit more. But you can see in this one, in the red parts, it actually comes out. She gets pretty intense with her story. And that's kind of what it's about, right? Crafting that story, being a magnet to people, and really tugging on their heartstrings a little bit. How are they going to relate to you? And this isn't going to relate to everyone, but you want it to really relate to you. So make sure that you're really crafting that story and you're really painting the picture for people when you are actually writing out your post. Okay, another really great thing to do. We talk about like external and internal posts. External posts are really about, okay, here I'm sharing the product, and I'm sharing pictures of the product. I'm sharing pictures of the super trainers. This part, I feel like all of us do this at some point. I think I shared a picture of like my actual Shakeology cup for every day for like 2 weeks until someone was like, stop, it's just like turning everyone off. But I think it's just kind of this like knee-jerk reaction. Once you get into something, you get excited and you just want to share it all. Like you just want to show people what you're doing. But instead of showing what you're doing, start sharing why you're doing it. So share the pictures of you and still talk about the product, but share it with a picture of you instead of a picture of the product, or a picture of a super trainer. Show you doing the workouts instead of someone else doing the workouts. And then people start to connect with you instead of connecting with feeling like they're being sold to, in a sense. So yeah, that would be my biggest recommendation on that. And then moving into like inviting. A lot of the time, now that we have like our social, we're talking a lot about social media, talking about attracting people, making sure they're the right people, making sure that you're talking to your ideal client and you're pulling on their heartstrings when you are speaking in your posts. Now we're diving into like the DMs, and you go to actually invite somebody. They're liking your stuff, maybe they're commenting on something, they're following you. For me, any of that is permission to open the door to send them a message. If they're following me for a reason. I've attracted them in if I'm showing up true to myself on social media. If they're liking one of my posts, again, that's permission for me to go back and like their stuff, or to comment on their stuff, or to dive into their DMs. And I think the biggest thing that I had an issue with in the beginning was, what do I say? And I would say, hey, are you interested in joining this boot camp? They would say no, and I'd be like, okay, bye. Like, I didn't know what else to do after that, but I wasn't asking the right questions. I wasn't giving them a reason to respond, and I didn't know what their pain points were. I would invite them, but I knew nothing about them. And they knew everything about me, and they were still watching and they were following, but I wasn't putting in enough time to understand why were they following me? What attracted them to me? So now I try to ask questions that gets their story. I try to ask questions to understand, why do you want to lose weight? Are you on a fitness journey? Like, that is probably one of the main questions I ask all the time is, are you currently on a fitness journey? What do you follow me for? Like, ask them exactly, do you follow me for my fitness? Do you follow me for nutrition? Do you follow me for my cute little fam? Like, what do you follow me for? Just trying to ask those questions, because the more you know about your audience, the easier it's going to be to dive into a solution that you might have for them. And so while I will invite anyone that is following me, liking my stuff, commenting on my stuff, I never actually give them the information of what it is I'm inviting them to until I learn more about them. So try asking just more questions about where they're at on their journey. I can share more questions if you guys struggle with what this piece is, but really just, have you ever considered joining a virtual bootcamp? Because some people might be willing to open up when you say, have you considered it? Not, do you want to? If you say, do you want to? The answer is probably no, because people don't like committing to things. But have you ever considered it? A lot of people are like, yeah, I have. I just don't have the money right now. Great. Now you know a little bit more about it. Dive into why they actually want to be a part of it. Start asking more questions in that sense. I always ask people if they're a coach as well, if I want them to join my team. I will dive right in and I'll say, hey, I love your feed. I think this, it's amazing. Are you a health and wellness coach? And that really opens the door, and it gives them confidence to think they could be a coach if they're not. So that's one of my go-tos when I'm actually going for a coach invite, is just asking them if they're a coach as well, because then they go, oh, she actually thinks that I could be a coach. And I only invite people that I feel like could be coaches anyway, so it is truth. I'm not trying to be fake or phony in any way. It's just a really easy way to open that conversation towards business. Another thing that I really, and again, are you on your fitness journey? Are you looking to lose weight? Are you looking for a community? Do you struggle with accountability? Are you struggling to find family meals or nutrition? Those are all questions that I try and ask, really, again, just to get the leverage, because when you understand their story and they give you a reason why they don't want to say yes, that gives you a reason to go back to them and say, but what if this is the one thing that could change that for you? And what if this is the one thing that could really help you lose the weight this time? What if the accountability or my tribe? So dive into that a little bit more. Ask some more questions. We could go through scripts on exactly what to say all day long for inviting, but I think this is the biggest process, is understanding that our goal on social media isn't necessarily just to post something and have someone join an accountability group. Our goal on social media is to have them know who we are, like who we are, have them trust us, so that when we do go to offer a solution to a problem that they have, they're more willing to say yes, and they're more willing to say, you're my person, I think you can really help me. This is a little bit more about behind the scenes on what I was just kind of talking about, and how you can really dive into a conversation. Again, if you want to screenshot this, you totally can. And you can see just how you use some of those questions in an actual DM to somebody. So is it something you've ever considered? Again, just want to thank you for showing me some love on my post. Are you a coach too? Thanks so much for liking my posts. I appreciate the love. It's not always easy to share stuff like this. Are you on a fitness journey too? And that is just a little easier way to open the conversation in a DM instead of just going with a cold invite if that feels uncomfortable to you. So that's all I have for you guys. I can't believe I did that in 15 minutes, first of all, because I talk way too much. But yeah, that's kind of like the whole process in terms of inviting. I know tonight on the Crush It call, they're going to talk a lot about inviting as well. And Kim's going to dive into even more in terms of like, what are you actually inviting to? Like, what are we inviting people to? So this will tie in really nicely with this. But I think first and foremost, it's just understanding who you are, who you're talking to, making sure you're showing up as you are, and making sure that you are really trying to build that trust with your audience, so that when they're ready, they will come to you and they will think of you first. Do you guys have any questions? Just unmute yourself if you do. No? We're good? Let me check the chat. Okay, guys, cool. I'm gonna share this in, I have a whole document on this, so I'll share it in our group as well. And then if you guys have questions on it, you can always comment on that in the FamJam page. But other than that, I'm going to end the recording, and if you guys have questions on anything else, we can chat about it.